Hello, Assalamu alaikum. This is Abdul Latif Khayat again, and this is our session number 8. I did 7 of Jawdat Said's works, and this is number 8, and this one is be like Adam's son, or Adam's better son. Do as Adam's better son did. And that this was published 1997. He feels now that the world is more ready. It is more ready to respond to this idea that instead of trying to use violence and attack against the other, you can just debate, you can just put forward what you have to say, and people can accept or not accept. But in the end, the voice of truth will prevail. Isn't Islam is true? Don't you believe in this? Isn't it the voice of truth? It will prevail. But when we of course go to weapons and to assassination and explosion, then people have the right not to listen to us, because it is weapon against weapon, and the tyrannical powers have more weapons than you, so they can hit back and can crush. So this is, Muslims do have many the traditions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, that tell them when there is turmoil and tribulation, do not use force, do not use your weapon, break it, and not one or two, more than that, the traditions of the Prophet. But then people somehow, what is said in the Quran and Sunnah even, they don't seem to respond. There is something in the mind that keeps one from listening, learning, understanding. Language, there is this language of words, and another language that keeps dull or inactive. Something must be done about that. There are the facts of history, but we somehow fail to understand, fail to go. Why should we be hit again and again from the same hole? The Prophet did have an authentic hadith about this tradition, that you must not be hit again from the same hole. It is that we haven't studied how things developed, how the humans were at one time, and how elementary and how close to animals, and then how they rose. Yes, they still do mischief and bloodshed, but they have learned so much. Democracy is something. People have changed, and people now in Europe, they can see it and discuss and analyze and have scientists, and they live a better life. Isn't this closer to what pleases God and His Prophet? So we depend for authority on just intuition and desires and whims and the force of this man. So unless we learn from history, and the people who are intellectuals and scholars, these are more responsible than any other class, more than the statesmen. They must learn and speak out, and the world must listen. It will listen when you have something worthy of listening to. What about those great nations that have democracy inside and the human right? Yes, but with other nations, they have veto and they are haughty and looking down. There must be something done about the relations of nations. And in our part, inside our nations, there must be something. There's now the relation is one of physical power, force, and coercion and repulsion and compulsion. Why? Because the others cannot speak, because those live at the periphery, and in the center there is the powerful person. It is because the others don't know how to learn better and how to speak better, and to insist that we must speak the truth. This is what God commands us to do. We cannot keep silent when there is something wrong. Ibrahim taught people that it is mentioned in the Quran. Is it that these idols that you worship, do they give you any benefit or injury, or are you afraid of? No, we just saw our fathers do it. So there is this way or this way. You either listen to what brings you a benefit, and then you adhere to that. What is beneficial, what is of advantage to you, nation, the world, yes, you adhere to that. Or the other way is to listen to fathers, to great powers, and that. So here, the lessons of history tell you that there is the way of oppression and injustice, and it leads to this, like the Soviet Union, like the tyrannical powers of the earth. And there is the way of doing good, not only what is good for one nation. The world is waiting for a better balance, a better equation, that there are powerful people, but there are others who understand. And everywhere in the world, that must be given the chance. And nobody should be silenced because they have less weapons or power or industry. There is a time when everybody was under the idolization of society, that everybody kept within the bound, the limitation of society, and nobody had his own view. But then individualism here was born sometime, Toynbee says, sometime before, some centuries before Christ. But this is something, the individual must have their way, must speak out, must learn better, and have his independence, her independence. They must have their way of learning and speaking out. Here the individual counts. He or she can change a nation and can have their impact on history, the history of the whole of the humanity, when they insist that they learn something from history, from following the destiny of nations, how they rose, how they declined, what are the elements. They must learn well and look well, and the Muslim world is behind in this. The least in having this this desire to learn the lessons of history and to change their own condition first and the world after that. So to get over mischief and the bloodshed at the angel's threat of man in the Quran, it is by learning, and learning not only through your own experience, but the condensed material that is there in books and in people's previous experience, that is there stored in books. Go and learn, and then you will save. The more you learn, the more you save yourself of tragic events and the blows of history. Otherwise, you will have to learn one day after more and more and more blows, as happens to the Arabs. So it is not our impressions, not our conceptions. History has its laws, exactly like physics and chemistry and all the sciences. It has its lesson. It has its laws, and those must be adhered to, accepted. Otherwise, more pain, more suffering for humanity and for nations. Thank you very much.